Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. His simple statement resounded across the entire divine capital. As soon as he finished speaking, many figures leaped out of the flying chariot. Duanmu Shang unleashed 1,000 spear shadows as he dove toward the Imperial Guards and took out 100 of them with one single strike. The Imperial Guards were sent flying. Duanmu Shang was the epitome of a brave man who could not be defeated by 10,000 men. Zhou Yu, Little Yuan, Zhu Honggong, and the four elders moved in different directions and attacked as well, unleashing their 100 Tribulations Insight avatars. Apart from that, Pan Zhong and Zhou Jifeng summoned their 100 Tribulations Insight avatars as well. Were there these many nascent divinity realm elites in the Evil Sky Pavilion? The cultivators who initially planned to reap the benefit as both sides fought were now shaken. Their eyes were wide open as they stared at the cloud-splitting chariot in the air fearfully. The 19 elders were frightened as well. Old Villain G. It's Old Villain G. The cultivators who wanted to take advantage of the situation felt their hearts race when they looked at the cloud-splitting chariot and Lu Gu's body on the ground. They were dumbfounded. The 19 elders had deceived them? Where was the 9-leaf Lu Gu? What happened to the imperial family that's supposed to be invincible inside the supposed 10-terminal formation? What happened to the mighty imperial guards who supposedly dominated the world? Lies. They were all lies. Run. The cultivators ran in all directions in the divine capital. When Hua Wudao saw the flying chariot, he was invigorated. He said, "Yueshing, this is the best time for you to unleash your skills." All right. Hua Yueshing pushed away lightly and rose higher in the air. She turned a full circle as she released her energy arrows at the running cultivators. Swoosh. Swoosh. The energy arrows pierced through avatars, and the low-rank cultivators fell from the sky. On the other side, the Nirvana sash shone brightly as it danced like a dragon in the air. Everyone in the Nirvana sash's path was bound by it. As for the four elders who have slashed their lotuses, their peers were no match for them at all. The golden gourd bottle would claim one life every time it flew out. Lang Luo flitted through the ranks of the cultivators like a phantom. The scripts released by Zhou Yushu's coiling dragon staff rained down in the divine capital like leaves in autumn. Upon seeing this, Wuya was overwhelmed with emotions. Everyone from the Evil Sky Pavilion was making a move. With this, the battle turned utterly one-sided. The members from the Evil Sky Pavilion easily took control of the situation. The enemies did not dare to move or attack at all. "I'll kill anyone who makes another move." Everyone looked at Hua Yueshing, who was high up in the sky. At this moment, Hua Yueshing summoned her 2-leaf avatar. A crisp sound rang in the air as her avatar sprouted another leaf. She had a breakthrough during battle. The bow and arrows in her hands were still wrapped in energy. For energy arrows were nested between her fingers, they could be fired at any moment. Now that the situation was under control, the Nether Sect members cheered. All hail the Patriarch. The cloud-splitting chariot had become the beacon of hope for the members of the Nether Sect. None of them remained unmoved. Si Wuya and Hua Chongyang were relieved, they did not have to use the Primal Fiend potion, after all. At this moment, Lu Zhou walked out of the cloud-splitting chariot with his hands on his back, flanked by Yi Tianxin and Conk. He looked down at the Imperial Guards before his eyes finally rested on Wang Yu. 8-leaf? Wang Yu took a step back. Lu Zhou descended. A collective gasp rang in the air. Everyone held their breaths as they looked at Lu Zhou, who was descending from the sky. Faint blue energy seals could be seen under his feet. Boom. As soon as Lu Zhou's feet touched the ground, 2 energy seals flew out from his feet toward Wang Yu's face. Wang Yu was greatly panicked. He tried to dodge, but the energy seals seemed to have eyes. It did not take long before they landed on his chest squarely. Bam. Bam. Wang Yu dropped to the ground immediately. He was in agony at this moment. I'm also an 8-leaf cultivator, for crying out loud. Why is that everyone's able to easily step on me? He could no longer control his surging blood essence. With a grunt, he spat out a mouthful of blood. He remained sprawling on the ground, his face red. The 19 elders on the peak of the imperial city, the supposedly neutral cultivators in the divine capital, and the tens of thousands of Nether Sect members in the imperial city held their breaths. They looked at the evil Sky Pavilion's Patriarch who had just landed. He was also the master of the greatest fiend path sect. He was an old man who seemed unthreatening, but his aura alone held the entire divine capital in fear. Clearly, this was not an ordinary old man, he was the first 9-leaf cultivator, the Patriarch of the evil Sky Pavilion, and the master of the evil Sky Pavilion's 9 great disciples. At this moment, the divine capital was as silent as a graveyard. Zhou continued to stare at Wang Yu. Wang Yu flinched. After a long time, Zhou still did not move his eyes away. This person before him was the final surviving 8-leaf elite among the 8 great generals. Wang Yu broke down. Zhou's aura had completely crushed his mental defenses. Without a second word, he pushed away from the ground and shot toward the peak of the imperial city like a fired arrow. Running away. Zhou raised his hand. A halberd on the ground thrummed before it flew into his hand. His fingers shone with blue radiance as he chucked the halberd out. Swoosh. The lightning-fast attack exceeded everyone's expectations. The halberd pierced Wang Yu's back. The huge momentum kept it going and penetrated his chest as well. Bam. The halberd flew out, carrying Wang Yu's body with it, and embedded itself into the imperial city's wall. Ding. Killed a target. Reward, 1,500 merit points. The 19 elders felt their throats grow dry. They trembled uncontrollably when they looked at Wang Yu who was pinned to the wall. Blood flowed along the halberd and onto the wall before dripping to the ground like a waterfall. Zhou no longer paid any attention to Wang Yu. He turned around and swept his eyes across the peak of the imperial city before he tonelessly said, "Big Dipper Academy." The 9 elders felt their hearts sink. "Kill yourselves," Zhou curtly said. The evil Sky Pavilion disciples looked at the 9 white-clad cultivators who were hovering in the air. These people were the ones who activated and maintained the 10-terminal formation. In other words, they were the ones who killed you, Zhenghai. Senior G, are you going to commit the heinous crime of killing everyone? One of the elders said out of desperation as he fought back his fear. Casualties were expected during a war. However, to kill an entire city of people. That was inhumane. Zhou glanced at the elder who had spoken. He did not respond to the question and only said, "Let's start with you. You'll be the first to pay for my disciple's life." Zhou's voice was gruff and domineering. He stood on the ground with his hands on his back, seemingly as immovable as a mountain as he waited for the elder to end his life. However, how many people in the world were willing to end their own lives? Who would have the courage to take a knife to their hearts? How many in this world were willing to take their own lives? The elder's eyes widened in fear. He turned around and unleashed his avatar before he sprinted to the distance. 2-leaf? Little Yuan, who was standing closest to the elder, snorted. Another one trying to escape. "I'll beat you to death." Whoosh. 7 stars cloud treading steps. Little Yuan's scarlet nirvana sash unfurled before her like a dancing dragon. How slow. Little Yuan appeared in front of the elder and brought her foot down on him. Boom. The elder's chest was heavily hit. He dropped down and crashed onto the ground with a loud boom. Little Yuan dove again. Bam. She sent him flying with a kick. 7 stars cloud treading steps. She appeared above the elder again at lightning speed. Then, she brought her foot down on him again. Bam. The elder crashed heavily onto the ground. He was no longer breathing or moving. Ding. Killed a target. Reward, 1,000 merit points. The imperial city was as silent as a graveyard. Even a little girl from the evil sky pavilion was this powerful and violent. Everyone else despaired. Zhou no longer looked at that elder. Instead, he looked at the other Big Dipper Academy's elders. Next, he said, sentencing them to death. With that command, the expressions of the Big Dipper Academy's elders turned ashen as they hovered in the air. There was only a single road left for them to take, and that was to die. Was there anything more depressing than this in this world? The energy arrows in Hua Yuexing's hand thrummed. She would adjust her aim frequently. It was clear that she would release the arrows at the slightest movement. Fine, fine. One of the younger elders from the academy could no longer withstand the pressure. He descended slowly. As soon as his feet touched the ground, he fell limply to the ground. Although he tried to suppress his fear with all his might, it was futile. The fear overwhelmed him as soon as he landed. His body trembled violently, his palms were wet with sweat, and his heart felt as though it was going to jump out of his chest. His fear was exacerbated when he saw Wang Yu's corpse pinned to the wall and Lu Gu's lifeless body that was dressed in the dragon robes on the ground. His despair made him abandon his pride, and he began to kowtow and beg for mercy. Mercy. Have mercy, old senior. Have mercy, old senior. Thud. 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 The elder's head made a loud noise whenever he kowtowed. There were all kinds of birds in a big forest. Some were timid and some were bolder. It was the same with people, there were many types of people. Some were blindly loyal, some were cowardly, and some would stand by their actions to the end. One of the older Sky Conduct Academy elders in the skies on the left began to curse. You're a complete disgrace to my academy. You're the elder of an academy, but you're kowtowing to a villain just to save your own skin. You're a great humiliation. Zhou looked up at the old elder who was cursing. Lamenting. Old villain G, the others might be afraid of you, but I'm not. What's there to be feared about death? If the Grand Great Yan's divine capital is truly covered in darkness, it'll become the greatest joke in the world. Where would justice be? Where would the heavenly path be? His outburst continued. The 10-terminal formation is restored. Even if I die, I'll bring all of you down with me. With a calm expression, Zhou said, very well. He waved his right sleeve. A blue palm seal sailed toward the old man. Everyone looked at the palm seal. It was the sole diamond seal of the Taoist 9 cuts hand seals. It looked unique and terrifying now that it had changed colors. Upon seeing this, the old elder summoned his measly 4-leaf avatar. Bam! The palm seal easily destroyed the elder's avatar and reached his face. Nobody was surprised by the outcome. How was a 9-leaf cultivator swatting a 4-leaf cultivator different from a person swatting a fly? The elder fell. Boom. The elder was grievously wounded and lost all power to fight. Zhou had intentionally kept him with a dying breath. This was partly because he had spent half of his extraordinary power saving Zhenghai above Cloud Rage River. With half left, it was equivalent to the full amount he had before he obtained the Earth Scroll. He wanted to conserve as much of the extraordinary power. Naturally, there were some targets like Lu Gu and Wang Yu whom he would not hold back in attacking. To kill Lu Gu, Zhou had used his final deadly strike card. Against such a target, it was meaningless to consider the cost-performance ratio. It was more of a question of worth. Zhou did not put much extraordinary power into this palm strike. However, it was enough to render the elder powerless to fight. He would die soon enough. The casual palm strike stunned the elders of the 2 academies. Unlike the elder who had spoken out, none of them were filled with righteous indignance or viewed death like an old friend. Si Wuya, who was standing before the crowd, bowed and said, Master, this person is one of Sky Conduct Academy's 10 elders, Chen Ranji. He's the guide for the 10-terminal formation. Zhou nodded slightly. He stared at Chen Ranji and said indifferently, You like to talk about justice. In that case, I'll discuss justice with you. He turned and looked at the other elders in the air as he continued to say, I'll give you a choice. If any one of you can tell Chenranji what justice is, I'll spare that person. However, there's a limited quota. Only one person will be spared. As soon as Zhou finished speaking, the Sky Conduct Academy elders hastily raised their hands. Me? I'll go. I'll tell him what justice is. Shut up. What do you know about justice? I should be the one to. The Sky Conduct Academy elders began to quarrel among themselves immediately. Their faces turned red as they argued over who would get the chance to answer the question. Chenranji looked up with difficulty with wide eyes. At this moment, someone began to curse at Chenranji from the skies. Chenranji, what right do you have to talk about justice when all you think about is your own fame and benefits? Didn't you get to where you are today because you bribed the president? I spit on you. Chenranji, you shunned your wife who was with you when you were poor. You did everything you could to get rid of her. You went so far as to personally kill her and took on new wives and concubines. How dare you talk about justice? Chenranji. There was nothing more destructive than being attacked by one's comrades. Their insults were grating to the ears. Chenranji pointed at the elders in the air. You. At this moment, Zhou pointed at one of them and said, you. The elder was overjoyed. He hastily dove. After landing on the ground, he kowtowed at Zhou without a second word and said, thank you, Senior Ji. Si Wuya shook his head. Everyone in this world could see through a person's feelings, but it was impossible to fully understand the workings of a person's heart. If there were those who sought death, there would surely be those who sought life as well. Master, this is one of the Sky Conduct Academy's 10 elders, Zhou Zhenghai. Zhou Zhenghai smiled ingratiatingly as he stood up. However, the instant he looked at Chenranji, his smile disappeared and his eyes flashed coldly. Those who never seek knowledge but treasure riches without a sense of justice are barbarians. Chenranji, there's no need for you to stand on the moral high ground. Your crimes are now laid bare before you. Can you shamelessly preach about justice in front of everyone? You. Chenranji was so infuriated that he was rendered speechless. What? Those who work for the people are in the right. From what I know, the Nether Sect has sacrificed many of their own men to protect the civilians in the city during the battle in Yan Province City. On the other hand, the garrison general, Ma Lupeing, took the common folk as hostages. Is that what justice is? Why aren't the people raising their flags to protest the Nether Sect's dominion over the 9 provinces but are supporting them instead? Those who do not fear a righteous death and shun an ignoble existence are just. Those who loathe evil and strive to do good are just. Your ears are deaf to knowledge, your eyes are blind to experience, and your actions are devoid of justice. What bullshit justice are you talking about? He spat at Chenranji's face after he finished speaking. Fine. You, what about you then? Me? I admit that I'm afraid to die. I have old folks and young ones to look after back home. I am not ashamed of myself, be it before the heavens or the people. However, I am not as shameless as you to preach about justice, make thoughtless remarks, and distort the truth. You're a humiliation to the Sky Conduct Academy. If I were you, I would look for a wall, bang my head against it to kill myself. Chenranji's eyes widened. He could no longer suppress the roiling blood essence in his chest and spat out a mouthful of blood before falling lifelessly to the ground. Ding. Killed a target. Reward, 1,000 merit points. Zhou remained unmoved. Those of high office in the divine capital had stained their hands stained with the blood of others at some point in their lives. None of them could keep their hands clean. However, this raised another issue. Insulting another person required some level of intelligence. There was no need to fear a gangster who knew how to fight, but it was wise to fear an intelligent gangster. Zhou found himself agreeing with Zhou Zhenghai's words. When Chenranji died, the other elders fell into despair. There was no hope of them staying alive. At this moment, Lu Gu's body suddenly emitted purple smoke. Master. The others looked over. One of the elders in the skies saw this, and something stirred in him. He shouted, "Activate the formation." Infinity was found in a pinch of red sand, mystic occurrences increased in the 8 trigrams furnace. The red curtain-like barrier appeared in the skies again. Master, get on the chariot. Little Yuan shouted. Bring her up. The cloud-splitting chariot left the barrier. Primal Chi quickly left the area within the barrier. The Nether Sect disciples looked up at the skies. The 10-terminal formation is activated again. With the Primal Chi gone, everyone dropped to the ground. Naturally, none of them wished to fall to their deaths. Protect Master. Duanmu Sheng cried out as he swept his overlord spear at the enemies. Dozens of Imperial guards were sent flying in just an instant. Duanmu Sheng leaped toward Lu Zhou at his quickest speed and raised his overlord's spear. The curtain-like barrier changed again. Layer upon layers dropped down one after another. The purple smoke around Lu Gu's corpse thickened. His body was lifeless before. However, with the appearance of the purple smoke, his body began to move.